I'd bet $500,000 this brain-dead black waitress can't even spell her own name, let alone speak Chinese. Victor Lang's voice slices through Lumiere, Manhattan's crown of luxury. Forks stop mid-air, laughter dies. Every eye turns to the 19-year-old standing by his table. Nia Carter, jaw locked, eyes still. Lang leans back, phone raised. Look at her. Too dumb to finish high school. Too cheap to matter. Go on, sweetheart. Say something smart before I get bored. Laughter ripples across marble. The chandeliers flicker like they disapprove. Nia doesn't blink. We're closing a $200 million deal, Lang boasts, and this is our entertainment. Watch her try to speak Chinese. Nia straightens. Calm. Dangerous. You want Mandarin? She says quietly. Then listen carefully. This is what intelligence sounds like. Without hesitation, she turns to the three Chinese executives. Gentlemen, your scalability issue can be solved with a recursive neural network variant that cuts processing time by 40%. The restaurant freezes. Lang's phone slips from his hand and shatters on the marble. One executive's mouth falls open. Another whispers. Nia keeps going, flawless tone, Beijing accent perfect. You're also using outdated encryption that leaves your data exposed. Modernize the stack, and your system becomes unbreakable. Every table leans in. The chandeliers hum. Lang's smirk disintegrates. Section 12 of your contract can be optimized, she continues. Modify the Hamiltonian and gain 23% efficiency. Section 18's patent language. It won't survive international review. The lead executive finally speaks. How do you know our architecture? I read your papers, she replies, in Mandarin smooth as silk. Your entanglement protocol bleeds fidelity. I can fix that. Lang looks like he swallowed ice. Across the room, a Russian oligarch slams his fist, shouting at his translator. Nia pivots instantly, her voice shifting to Russian. Your translator missed critical terms. The contract unfairly favors the Saudi partner. Then Arabic to the Saudi, German to the Swiss banker. 3 languages in a single breath. Phones rise higher. Guests whisper, is this real? Lang grips the table. If you're that smart, he snarls, prove it. He yanks out a 500-page Chinese contract and flings it across the table. 10 minutes. Translate it perfectly or admit you're a fraud. The room falls dead silent. Even the kitchen doors stop swinging. Nia scans the first page, eyes steady. This agreement has 4 fatal errors, she says evenly, each one capable of voiding the entire deal. Shall I correct them or simply point them out? Lang blinks, lost. She starts working. Her pen dances in perfect Chinese calligraphy. She revises clauses, clarifies legal traps, fixes cross-border loopholes. She rewrites a sentence that would have cost millions and explains why. The executives watch, spellbound. 7 minutes later, she closes the binder. Translation complete. Contract optimized. That'll be $3,000. Consultation rate. Translations complimentary. Applause erupts. Pure, electric relief. The executives rise first, offering cards and handshakes. Miss Carter, one says, we'd like to hire you as lead consultant. Lang's jaw hangs useless. Power has shifted. He's not even in the frame anymore. Nia quietly resets a fork knocked sideways, thanks a busser by name, and steps back in her role like nothing happened. The crowd keeps filming. She doesn't pose. She owns the silence. A tall diner in a gray suit stands at the far end. His voice is low but carries authority. Miss Carter, he calls, I represent the United Nations delegation. Be at our headquarters tomorrow. We need someone who can translate more than words. Gasps roll through the restaurant. Lang turns pale, realizing the humiliation isn't viral fodder. It's history. Nia's lips curve just slightly. Understood, she says. She lifts the shattered pieces of Lang's phone, sets them neatly on his plate, and walks away. And as she disappears into the kitchen, a voice from table 9 screams for help. Someone's collapsed. In 30 seconds, Nia Carter will prove her genius can save more than pride. A scream rips the room apart. Table 9. A Japanese businessman, 60, suited, steady 5 minutes ago, clutches his chest, and folds to the floor. His teenage daughter drops beside him, sobbing in Japanese, words tripping over terror. Chairs scrape. Silver crashes. Someone yells for 911. The restaurant's heartbeat turns to thunder. Nia Carter moves before anyone else. She's on her knees beside the girl, voice soft and fluent Japanese, the honorifics exact. It's okay. Tell me everything about your father's medical history. I'll interpret for the paramedics. The girl pours out a torrent. Rare genetic heart condition, long QT syndrome, allergic to common cardiac meds, carrying a medical alert card. Nia looks up, voice clear in English to the crowd. He has long QT, allergic to epinephrine and several standard cardiac drugs. He's on specialized blood thinners. They interact dangerously. A busser hands over the wallet. The card confirms everything. Paramedics burst through the doors. The lead's badge reads L. Ortiz. What do we have? Nia is already the switchboard. Japanese-only family, long QT, epinephrine allergy, on blood thinners X and Y, she says rapid fire. To the daughter, she translates every instruction in crisp Japanese. To the team, she returns precise answers. No stumbles. No gaps. She's signal through noise. A paramedic reaches for a syringe. Nia's hand flashes out. Stop. That's epinephrine. It could kill him. Lena Ortiz freezes, recalculates, nods. Copy. Alternative protocol. She checks the card, the vitals, the rhythm. Good catch. While they work, Nia opens a video call to the patient's Tokyo cardiology clinic, toggling between Japanese and English, translating medical shorthand like she was born in both worlds. She relays dosage history, contraindications, the last 3 ECG anomalies. She's not just bridging language, she's bridging systems. The businessman's color creeps back from ash to human. Oxygen hisses steadier. The daughter's sobbing turns to tremors. Nia keeps the rim of the chaos intact. A calm voice in 2 languages, then a third as she calls the man's partners in Mandarin to postpone tomorrow's negotiations, then the insurer in English to approve the ER route that avoids a pharmacy issue at intake. She threads laws and logistics like beads. Phones film, but this time the lens feels like witness, not spectacle. At the edge of the crowd, Victor Lang watches, something foreign in his eyes. Understanding. Not of language, of value. The $200 million he bragged about is suddenly small beside a life he couldn't have saved if it depended on his pride. The gurney clicks. The patient stabilizes enough to move. Lena Ortiz turns to Nia. Name and number. We need you in the ER. What you did here. We lose patients every year to translation errors and bad drug interactions. You just prevented one. Nia nods, gives her contact, and in Japanese tells the daughter which hospital, which desk, which form to ask for. The girl bows, tears shining, words breaking into gratitude that doesn't need translation. Applause rolls through Lumiere. Not loud, not showy, honest. A relief exhale shared by a room that just remembered what matters. Then the second storm hits. Manager Evan Cole slices through the crowd, jaw tight, voice a whisper meant to sound professional. Nia, office, now. She steps aside with him near the corridor where the clatter of plates can hide a reprimand. He doesn't whisper. You've caused a major disruption. We're getting calls. Corporate is livid. This is a dining room, not a circus. Nia studies his face. A man almost died. I'm aware, he says, eyes flat. But the brand expects discretion. Guests are complaining about cameras, chaos. You taking charge like you're in charge. Keep your head down. Do the job you paid for. From the host stand, Jenna Park watches. Half guilt, half curiosity. She takes a step forward, stops. Behind Evan, the 3 Chinese executives are still at their table, talking not to Lang, but to each other, cards in hand, contract newly annotated, future newly possible. The Russian, the Saudi, the Swiss exchange a nod in Nia's direction, an unspoken line added to a future email. Evan's tone sharpens. Put your apron back on, finish your section, and avoid performances. Consider this your verbal warning. Nia holds his gaze. Understood. The word lands steady, but does not mean agreed. She returns to the floor. Guests thank her in a dozen accents. She acknowledges each without breaking stride. A calm orbit forms again. This time around care, not spectacle. At Lang's table, the lead Chinese executive approaches, card extended. Miss Carter, we would like to retain you immediately as legal and technical consultant. The other two nod. Your revisions avoided significant risk. Lang tries to insert himself with a brittle smile. Gentlemen, they don't hear him. Nia takes the card politely. We can discuss scope and rates tomorrow afternoon, she says in Mandarin, then glances to the daughter being wheeled out. After I check on someone. Lang's smile fractures. He swallows whatever he was about to say. The ripple hits social feeds. Hashtag genius server spikes. Comments pour from healthcare workers, immigrants, families. This is what should happen in emergencies. Videos split screen her Mandarin corrections with a moment she blocked the epinephrine. The narrative shifts from viral moment to evidence. In the kitchen doorway, a line cook mutters loud enough to be heard. Miss Einstein thinks she's too smart for the apron. Another snickers. It floats past Nia and doesn't stick. She resets a station, thanks the dish team, pours water at table 4, answers a whispered thank you from a couple she's never served. Calm returns like a breathing tide. The gray-suited diner from part 1 steps forward, measured voice carrying just enough. Miss Carter, a car will pick you up at 9 a.m. tomorrow for a meeting at the United Nations. Bring whatever you use to reconstruct that contract. We have negotiations that have been failing for lack of understanding. More gasps. Jenna's hand covers her mouth. Evan pretends not to hear and fails. Nia nods once. I'll be ready. Lang stands. He doesn't apologize. Pride won't let him. But something in his posture concedes the obvious. The room moved on without him. Lena Ortiz re-enters, gives Nia a quick update. Stable transport. ER ready. Daughter riding along. We're building a list of on-call interpreters with real technical range. You're at the top. Text me the intake physician, Nia says. I'll send his last dose details and the translated Tokyo notes. Lena grins. You don't sleep, do you? 4 hours, Nia replies, like scheduling a sunrise. Most days. Lena squeezes her shoulder. That's going to change. The dinner service limps back to life, quieter, more careful. Yet the whisper network ignites. Some call her hero. Some say show off. Some, like Evan, say liability. Nia clears Lang's table with professional grace. She sets the shattered pieces of his phone in a neat stack on his bread plate and wipes the last ring of water off the marble. No gloat, just order restored. At the side station, Jenna finally approaches, voice small. I shouldn't have filmed at first. But what you did, she falters. Do you really speak all those languages? I speak people, Nia says gentle. Languages are how I listen. Jenna nods like she's hearing a new instrument for the first time. Evan reappears with a brittle smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Nia, corporate requested a note added to your file. Pattern of disruptive behavior. Signed to acknowledge. She reads the paper. Calm. Steady. No. Evan blinks. No. I'll acknowledge receipt by email, she says evenly, with my account of the medical emergency and the legal risk mitigated on a $200 million contract during my shift. His jaw ticks. Across the room, the 3 executives give her a parting bow and exit with purpose. The Russian, the Saudi, the Swiss leave in a small constellation, each glancing back once at the server who turned a dining room into a control center. Nia breathes out, shoulders easing for the first time tonight. Plates clink. Voices soften. The storm recedes. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. 9 a.m. car confirmed. UNHQ. High priority brief. Bring notes. Another buzz. Lena Ortiz. ER want your translation logs. Sending secure link. She looks at the clock, calculates the night. 2 more hours on the floor. A 3 to 8 p.m. coding block already missed. Translation stacked at 9 p.m. 4 hours of sleep, if she's lucky, and a morning that could change how the world talks to itself. She pockets the phone, lifts a tray, and moves, unbothered by gravity, anchored by purpose. And just when a room thinks the drama is over, The manager's office door closes behind Evan, and a call to corporate begins that could turn tomorrow's opportunity into tonight's punishment. Through the frosted glass of the manager's office, Evan Cole's voice cuts sharp. Yes, she hijacked the dining floor. Guests complained, executives distracted, staff unsettled. I'm recommending termination. He pauses, listening. Exactly. We can't have a waitress thinking she's the headline. Outside, the kitchen hums like nothing happened. Pots clatter. Ice falls. Nia Carter scrubs a spotless counter that doesn't need scrubbing. Every sound feels louder than it should. The door opens. Evan steps out with a smile, stretched too tight. Corporate will call you tomorrow, he says lightly. Let's try for calmer shift. Calmer. She almost laughs. By dawn, the video hits 50 million views. Hashtag Genius Server trends across continents. Headlines split the narrative in two. Teen waitress embarrasses billionaire and entitled worker disrupts luxury dining. Every click feels like gasoline. Victor Lang does what men like him always do, spin the humiliation. His PR machine leaks half-truths. Untrained staff endangered billion-dollar deal. Fabricated stunt for attention. Investors uncomfortable with restaurant chaos. Corporate eats it up. Public sympathy divides. The algorithm turns fairness into a coin toss. Evan calls mid-morning. Stay home today. Pending review. Nia glances at her phone. 3 missed tutoring clients, 2 canceled translation orders, 1 email from the UN confirming her briefing at 9. She exhales once. Copy that. The city outside hums indifferent as she steps into the car sent by the United Nations. Black sedan, tinted windows, a driver who doesn't speak unless spoken to. Midtown rolls past in polished silence. Her phone vibrates nonstop. Mentions, messages, brands offering partnerships, trolls call her names that have nothing to do with languages. The numbers climb faster than her pulse. At the UN checkpoint, her ID flashes on the tablet. Nia Carter. Interpreter invite. Level 3 clearance. The guard blinks. Wait, you're the girl from the video? She nods. Interpreter today. Maybe translator tomorrow. He grins. Whatever you are, ma'am, you saved a guy's life. Inside, the marble corridors smell of politics and printer toner. Flags line the hallway like a coded sentence about human ambition. Waiting in a glass-walled conference room is Lena Ortiz, the paramedic from the night before, today in a dark suit with a UN badge. Welcome to the big leagues, Lena says, clasping her hand. Or what's left of them. The meeting starts with chaos. Delegates from 4 nations argue over climate funding. Translators can't keep up. Acronyms fly like shrapnel. Voices overlap. The moderator looks seconds from collapse. Nia slips into the booth beside a blinking microphone. Permission to assist? The moderator hesitates, then nods. She adjusts the headset, listens once through the static, then begins. The words leave her mouth in synchronized precision. Mandarin to English, French to Arabic, Japanese to Spanish. Her voice threads through confusion like a laser through fog. Within minutes, the shouting cools. Heads turn toward her booth, astonished. Delegates who came to argue start listening. When the session ends, Secretary General Amara Idris herself enters the room. Silver hair, sharp gaze, presence like quiet thunder. You, she says. You're the restaurant girl. Yes, ma'am. You just did in 20 minutes what our official interpreters couldn't do in 3 hours. I just helped them hear each other, Nia replies. Amara studies her a beat longer, then smiles. That's all diplomacy ever is. She motions to Lena. Assign her to tomorrow's climate negotiation prep. We'll need every ounce of clarity we can get. Lena winks. Told you she doesn't sleep. That night, while the world argues about her, Nia sits at her tiny apartment desk, laptop open, code running, Project Bridge, her prototype AI translation model. Every conversation, every correction, every multilingual sentence from the restaurant feeds into it. On screen, neural lines glow like veins of light across the world. The algorithm doesn't just translate, it interprets context and emotion. It learns why people misunderstand. A text pops up. Victor Lang, call me. We need to talk. She ignores it. Another follows. Evan Cole, corporate terminated your employment effective immediately. Nia stares at the screen for a heartbeat. Then she smiles, tired but not broken. Her mother's message arrives next. I saw you on the news. I'm proud of you, baby. Remember, grace is power. She types back, always. Meanwhile, Lang's world unravels. His Chinese partners cut communication, citing ethical misrepresentation. Stock tickers show his company down 12%. Board members whisper. The same arrogance that mocked a waitress now costs millions. In a penthouse overlooking the city, he rewatches the video. The moment she looks him dead in the eye and dismantles his empire with fluency. He whispers, "What have I done?" Morning again. Nia walks into the UN building for her second briefing. Cameras flash, reporters shout. She keeps walking. Lena meets her at security. Word is they want you as chief liaison for the negotiations. That's not possible. Neither was last night, remember? Nia exhales, eyes flicking toward the conference chamber. Then let's make the impossible standard. They step inside. Delegates rise. The world tilts toward her again. But just beyond those marble walls, someone else is already plotting to drag her back down. An orchestrated campaign set to ruin her before she even begins. The morning after the UN briefing, the backlash finds a sharper edge. Tutoring parents who once begged for slots regretfully pause their kids' lessons. 2 translation clients ghost her mid-thread. A fintech startup writes, given recent controversy, we'll seek a more experienced provider. Screenshots circulate in group chats with captions like, too young, too loud, too much. Nia Carter tracks the numbers anyway. Rent, mom's chemo, Ethan's exam prep fees. The math doesn't care about virality. Her phone lights up with a new headline, Victor Lang. We all make mistakes. The article is a contrition performance, regret without repentance. His team feeds the beast with glossy talking points, respect for service workers. Miscommunication, taken out of context. The comments foam both ways. Every apology spawns a fresh insult at Nia's expense. At Lumiere, staff threads crackle. A line cook knew she was thirsty for cameras. A server, she thinks she's better than us. Another shares a clip of Nia stopping the epinephrine with the caption, lucky guess. Evan Cole adds nothing, which is a kind of permission. Only Jenapart DMs. I'm sorry. You saved that man. I should have said something last night. Nia, we'll both say more next time. By noon, Evan's termination email is official. One line is bolded, pattern of disruptive conduct. Attached, a non-disparagement clause. The subtext is loud, leave quietly, or we'll turn the machine up. Nia drafts her response without venom, just facts. Medical emergency. Legal mitigation on a $200 million contract. Translation accuracy preventing catastrophic mistakes. She CCs the restaurant's legal team and timestamps links to the videos that contradict Evan's disruption narrative. She signs off with courtesy that feels like Flint. Her mother calls. The voice that carried her through harder years sounds thin from treatment. Baby, I'm proud, but I'm worried. People in power. I know, Nia says gently. Grace isn't surrender, Mama. Grace is power, her mother repeats, smiling into the receiver like a blessing. Eat something real today, and rest your eyes. Nia hangs up and opens Project Bridge. The model purrs with new data, the UN session, the dining room, the rescue. She tunes a loss function to penalize translations that keep the words but lose the intent. She feeds it 1,000 micro-moments where fear sounded like anger and status disguised itself as concern. A ping. Unknown number. Meeting requested. 7 p.m. tonight. Lang Tower. Penthouse. Non-negotiable. Her reply. Negotiable. The second ping comes from Lena Ortiz. Your team says you saved that man. No debate. The hospital wants a pilot of your bridge thing for intake. Want to try? Nia, I do. After the UN prep. After I eat. After I breathe. She sets an alarm for 20 minutes, closes her eyes, and runs through the day like choreography. UN prep at 3. Prototype checks at 5. Penthouse at 7, maybe. Everything hinged on where grace ends and boundary begins. The UN prep room buzzes like a beehive in a glass box. Data teams, policy teams, comms. Secretary General Amara Idris arrives with a pocket notebook and the kind of quiet that makes loud men whisper. She speaks to Nia without preface. Today we map the human part of the language. You translate the words. Make sure we don't lose the soul. Nia nods. I'll start with shared fears and hopes. Children, water, jobs, lungs, memory. Good, Amara says. When a room gets small, widen it. They rehearse scenarios. Coastal nation citing flood displacement. Industrial bloc pleading transition pain. Youth delegates demanding timelines in human years, not fiscal quarters. Each segment, Nia tracks not just verbs and nouns, but stakes. She calibrates metaphors like voltages and tests Project Bridge against live practice. When a delegate says ambition, what value is he actually defending? Profit, jobs, face, or future? When the session breaks, Amara pauses beside her. I heard about your job. Brand concerns, Nia says lightly. Brands are reputations with PR budgets. Character is what you keep when the budgets move on. Nia offers a grateful smile she didn't know she needed. Tomorrow I'll be ready. Not tomorrow. Amara corrects, eyes glinting. Now, the pre-talk with the Youth Coalition moved up. They want you. Nia follows the Secretary General into a smaller chamber where the air feels charged. For youth leaders, 20-something and unblinking, sit across from veteran negotiators sporting decades of policy scars. It smells like guarded hope. The first words are brittle. A youth leader speaks about villages underwater. A veteran counters with budgetary realities. Nia slows the molecules in the room with a single instruction. Speak, she says, to your children. In your own language. Forget the cameras. The Iraqi delegate drops his shoulders and speaks in Arabic about dry riverbeds that used to feed his childhood. The Swedish activist speaks softly in Swedish about nights she can't sleep, imagining a burning future. Mandarin carries a father's fear for his daughter's lungs. Portuguese carries a grandmother's prayer for rain that falls where crops still live. Nia translates the heart first, the values, then the policy. The heat in the room cools into clarity. The youth stop shouting. The veterans stop reciting. They begin writing together. Amara watches, satisfied. This, she says quietly, is diplomacy. Nia steps away to breathe. The sky outside turns Manhattan pink. Her phone buzzes again. Unknown penthouse. 7 p.m. Come alone. A second. Security will be notified. A third. Please. Please is new. She types to Lena. If you don't hear from me by 8:30 p.m., call me twice. If no answer, send a ping to UN security with my last location. Lena, copy. I'll be parked 2 blocks away. Engine warm. Don't make me come up there. Nia wouldn't dare. At 6:56 p.m., she stands in Lang Tower's lobby, shoes silent on stone. The elevator recognizes the penthouse key and swallows her whole. Glass, steel, altitude. Her reflection looks like a woman who left a dining room and walked into a test she didn't ask for. The doors open to a horizon of lights. Victor Lang waits by the window, smaller than the sky, and knowing it. I deserve your contempt, he says before she can speak. But I'm asking for 5 minutes to show I've learned anything. Nia keeps the distance of a conference table between them. Your PR says you learned empathy overnight. My PR learned velocity, he says with a humorless smile. I learned that humiliation is expensive and cheap at the same time. He gestures toward a folder on a black table. 2 million. Office space. My network. Minority stake. You keep control. I want to fund Project Bridge. She says nothing, so he continues. The UN needs what you built. Hospitals need it. Courts need it. My ego is not in the term sheet. Nia flips the folder open. Clean terms. Lawyered, but in her favor. The part of her brain that calculates care rations in dollars notes how quickly this could lift her mother's treatment from barely to best. And the part you didn't put on paper? She asks. Lang exhales. I get to stand next to the future I almost missed and say I saw it. I don't get to claim it. She studies his face for the tell, selfishness wearing the mask of virtue. Then hears a faint footfall behind a column. A second presence in the penthouse. She turns. A woman steps out. Sleek suit. Cold eyes. "I'm Dr. Aurora Chun," she says evenly. Early-stage health tech investor. I witnessed the restaurant incident and the ER coordination. I did my diligence. She sets down a second folder. My offer matches his cash, minus his baggage. Lang bristles. Aurora doesn't blink. I don't invest to polish reputations. I invest to save lives. Your tool can. Contingency. You build guardrails. Ethical board. Hospital partners at the table. No weaponizing language. Nia opens the second folder. Cleaner terms. Wider doors. Guardrails she already sketched at 3 a.m. 2 months ago. She looks from one to the other. The elevator dings again. 3 silhouettes step out. The Chinese executives from Lumiere. Ties loosened. Faces set with quiet purpose. The lead bows slightly. We apologize for the intrusion. This concerns our division. He places a third document on the table. We'll license your technology for our quantum division on your terms. No control. You keep your IP. We need your brain, not your brand. Lang swallows. Gentlemen, they don't address him. Nia flips 3 sets of pages, her fingers the only sound in the room. Money. Access. Mission. 3 vectors to the same horizon. The question isn't who pays, it's who permits. She closes the folders and looks up. I'll decide tonight after I check on a man whose life you all watched almost become a footnote, she says. If this is about the world we claim to serve, then the first answer isn't in a contract. It's in a hospital. Aurora nods once, impressed. The executives exchange a glance of respect. Lang's jaw loosens, a lesson landing without fireworks. Nia heads for the elevator. She texts Lena, on my way to ER. 20 minutes. Prep intake for bridge test version 0.7. Lena, already bribed triage with coffee. Let's make history. The elevator doors start to close when Lang blurts, Nia, wait. There's something you should know. He hesitates, the cost visible on his face. Someone's moving to bury you. A coordinated campaign. Anonymous tips, doctor clips, corporate pressure. If you accept any of us, they'll say you sold out. If you refuse, they'll say you're ungrateful. The point isn't truth. It's doubt. She meets his eyes through the narrowing gap. Then we give him certainty. How? He asks, almost desperate. With receipts, she says. Transparent code. Public audits. Real outcomes. Lives saved on record. The doors seal. In a humming box of steel and mirrors, Nia leans her head back for one heartbeat and feels the weight move from her shoulders to her hands. Not lighter, just honest. Her phone vibrates again. Jenna. Evan says lawyers are asking staff for statements against you. Some are lying to keep their shifts. I can't, I won't. Nia types, tell the truth. I'll handle the rest. Another buzz, unknown, last chance to walk away. Or we will end you. Anonymous number. Disposable threat. She pockets the phone and watches the numbers descend. 85. 60. 30. When the doors open, the lobby is quieter than it should be. A security guard glances up with a look Nia can't read. Outside, sirens thread midtown like arteries on fire. She steps into the evening air, the city's breath warm and metallic. Her rideshare glides to the curb. As she reaches for the door handle, a black SUV rolls up fast and stops too near. The rear window slides down, revealing a man in shadow. Nia Carter, he says, voice cool. Your Project Bridge belongs to us now. And with that sentence, the trap around her life clicks shut, just as the ER calls back to say an intake system is crashing without her translation logs, and a patient can't wait. Something will break in the next 5 minutes. Her resolve, their scheme, or the lie that kept power safe from truth. Choose. Now. And somewhere between the siren's wail and the threat's smile, Nia Carter decides how revolutions actually begin. With a door opened, a code pushed, or a fight someone never expected her to win. And this time, she won't be alone. The SUV's window hangs open like a mouth. Project Bridge belongs to us now. The man's voice is the temperature of steel. Nia Carter doesn't blink. Then you came to the wrong curb. He smiles without teeth. Hospitals are messy. Code is fragile. Choice is unfortunate. The window slides up. The SUV idles, then slips into traffic as if nothing happened. Her phone buzzes. Lena Ortiz. ER intake is jammed. Japanese patient at triage. No translator, meds conflict. We need your logs now. Nia inhales once, steady. SUV threat to the left. Life to the right. She yanks open her rideshare's door. Bellevue. Fast as the law allows. The ER is a storm in fluorescent light. Radios crackle. Gurney's wheel. A boy sobs into a hoodie. Somewhere a monitor shrieks a flat, digital panic. Lena meets Nia at the doors, hair tied back, eyes wired. Intake system hiccuped. The bridge plugin you gave me last night works offline, but we need your latest model notes for long QT alerts and contraindications. On it, Nia pulls her laptop from her bag as a tech clears counter space. She plugs in and opens Project Bridge version 0.7, console blinking green. Patient, Nia asks without looking up. Japanese businessman, 60s. Daughter only speaks Japanese. Allergic to epinephrine on blood thinners. Sound familiar? The memory hits like deja vu in siren light. He made it through last night, Nia says, typing. We keep him through tonight. The triage nurse calls from the bay. We're about to push meds. Nia's fingers fly. She drags her long QT rule set into the ER profile and hits compile. A progress line crawls. Tell me the med, Nia shouts. Standard AP protocol. Cancel. Lena barks, already moving. Hold AP. Check bridge alerts. The compilation ping's done. Nia patches the intake tablet, opens the triage screen, toggles language to Japanese, and hands it to the daughter. Please press this button. Choose your father's medications from a list. The daughter taps with shaking precision. The bridge panel blooms red. CONTRAND long QT plus EPI. Alternative. Protocol B. Confirm? Lena exhales hard. You just prevented an adverse event. The attending physician, skeptical by habit and training, leans in. This thing's safe. Transparent. Nia says, sliding to show the explainability pane. Every rule traced, every reference logged. No black box guesses. Receipts. He nods once. Run it. They do. Her console becomes a dashboard of lives. Bridge translates the daughter's rapid Japanese into precise, human English while preserving urgency. He nearly died from AP last year in Tokyo. It flags drug interactions, suggests dosage alternatives, and auto-generates a short clinical note for the attending to edit. Not to replace him, but to save him time he doesn't have. Color returns to the man's face one shade at a time. The daughter squeezes his hand and cries in relief. Lena's shoulders fall an inch. A resident whispers, "Who built this?" Nia doesn't look up. "A waitress," she says softly, on her brakes. The bridge ripples outward. Bed 12, Portuguese only. Asthma meds, lost in translation. Bridge catches a childhood steroid intolerance, the chart buried in a scanned PDF. Bed 18, Mandarin. Stroke risk. Bridge asks a culturally tuned question that surfaces herbal remedies interacting with blood thinners. Triage, Spanish. Diabetic teen. Bridge turns slang into clinical clarity without stripping the fear that matters to treatment. It's not magic. It's work given language and guardrails. Lena watches Nia thread stations like a conductor. We piloted interpreters. We piloted call centers. This, she gestures at the living system. This is triage for meaning. Nia nods, fingers still moving. Only if it's audited. Logged. Public when it can be. Otherwise, the wrong hands turn it into a weapon. Guardrails, Lena says. We build them. Her phone buzzes. Unknown. You're violating confidentiality. Another. Unknown. Cease and desist forthcoming. A third. Jenna Park. Evan is collecting statements. Some are lying. I wrote the truth. Nia allows herself a half-second smile. Good. The attending physician taps her shoulder. We need this permanent, he says, blunt as a chart. Tonight you saved hours and maybe lives. Then we do it right, Nia replies. Ethics board. Red team audits. Community oversight. No silent updates. Nope, dark data. The attending studies her like a new instrument. You're 19. Everything is older than me, she says, except the future. In a quieter alcove, between a vending machine and a mural painted by volunteers, Dr. Aurora Chen waits. Suit traded for scrubs she's clearly borrowed. You choose hospitals first, Aurora says, approving. Good. I choose consequences first, Nia corrects. Lives before term sheets. Aurora nods. Lang wired a press apology. I wired a legal team. 2 filings went in this afternoon. 1 adversarial, 1 predatory. The adversarial is garden variety. A foundation wants her model to go open source today, without guardrails, then blame you for harm. The predatory is worse. A shell company filed a provisional patent that looks a lot like your architecture. Nia flinches only once. Inward. They got to the patent office before me. They got something there, Aurora says. Not you. She lifts a folder. Time-stamped training logs. Earlier prototypes. Your UN letter noting evaluation. We can burn their claim to ash if you say the word. And if I say the other word, we go faster. You keep control. We open the safe parts and lock the dangerous ones behind community governance and medical ethics. Nia glances toward triage where the Japanese daughter holds her father's hand, where bridge translates fear into usable signal. She thinks of her mother's chemo, of Jenna telling the truth, of the SUV voice promising ownership like theft wearing cologne. My condition, Nia says, is sunlight. Public audits. Community board with veto power. Emergency carve-outs for care. Aurora grins. Spoken like someone who's already been burned by power. Power doesn't burn, Nia says, shutting her laptop. People do. A siren spikes outside. Inside, a printer spits discharge paperwork. The Japanese daughter bows, words catching on gratitude larger than syntax. Nia bows back, then checks her watch. UN brief in 10 hours. Sleep. Negotiable. Lena brings coffee like an oath. You can't do this alone. I won't, Nia says. I'm building an ethics council. Clinicians. Interpreters. Patients. Youth voices. Add me, Lena says. And put a seat with my name on it that anyone in this ER can fill if I mess up. Nia clinks her paper cup against Lena's. Deal. Her phone buzzes again. Secretary General Amara Idris. Pre-negotiation session moved earlier. 7 a.m. Bring what's stabilized in ER. Copy. Nia texts back. Bringing bridge and proof it listens. As she slides the laptop in her bag, the hospital PA squawks, code blue, Bay 4. Not her case. Not her language. She lets the team sprint and forces herself not to turn. Boundaries are kind of care, too. Her lock screen lights with a new email. Subject line, notice of infringement. The sender is the shell company. The body is a lawyer's grin in Times New Roman. Cease deployment. Surrender IP. Acknowledge ownership. Attached. A USPTO receipt with a filing time stamped 20 minutes ago. Nia exhales through her nose. They stole tonight. Aurora scans the attachment, eyes narrowing. They're confident or sloppy. They're afraid, Nia says, or they wouldn't show their hand. Lena's radio crackles. She's needed back in the pit. You okay? She asks. I'm furious, Nia answers. Which is the right temperature for building right. Lena nods and sprints. Aurora pockets the fake infringement and taps her phone. I'll have counsel dig the owners out of that shell. Don't just dig, Nia says. Document and publish when it's safe. Aurora's smile is quick and wolfish. My favorite verb. Nia heads for the sliding doors, the city's breath waiting. Her rideshare pings, arriving. Her mother's text pings, proud of you. Jenna's pings, if they push me, I'll go on record. The ER doors open to midnight, the hour where choices echo. She steps outside and almost collides with the black SUV. The rear window hums down. Same voice, same temperature. Tick-tock, Miss Carter. By morning, your bridge will be ours. Your name an asterisk. Your work a footnote. Sign our paper, walk away with dignity, or watch yourself erased in real time. Nia leans down, so her reflection floats beside his shadow. Erase me, she says softly. and I'll become every voice you try to silence. The window rises. The SUV glides off. Her phone buzzes one more time. No subject. One line. USBTO status update. Provisional approved. Assignee. Quantum Lattice LLC. Her stomach goes cold. The timestamp matches the ER save. And as the city exhales, Nia realizes the cost of saving a life tonight was an open door for thieves. Because while she translated fear into hope, someone translated her into property. And at 7 a.m., she must walk into the United Nations with a tool the world needs and a patent the wrong hands hold. What she says next will decide whose language wins, money or meaning. Marble underfoot. Flags like a forest. The corridor to the United Nations chamber tastes like copper and cameras. Nia Carter walks beside Lena Ortiz and Dr. Aurora Chun, laptop tucked under her arm like a heart you can reboot if you dare. At the door, Secretary General Amara Idris is waiting, composed, deliberate. Breathe, Amara says. Then do what only you can do. Make people hear. The guards swing the doors. The room is already on fire. Voices braided in 4 languages, translation channels snapping, the old diplomacy drowning in its own noise. Delegates, youth leaders, industry observers. Front row, the Chinese executives from Lumiere. In the gallery, a familiar jawline, Victor Lang, not invited but present. The moderator whispers, "We've had 6 failed pre-sessions. Let's start with one truth," Nia answers, sliding into the interpreter booth. No one is the villain of their own story. She puts on the headset. Her fingers wake Project Bridge. The dashboard breathes to life. Streams labeled values, risk, face, future. Nothing mystical. Just scaffolding for meaning with guardrails. The German delegate speaks first, words hard from years of budget meetings. Bridge maps ambition to jobs fear. The Bangladeshi youth leader replies with a flood of water and memory. Bridge elevates the stakes without sanding the pain. Mandarin, Arabic, French, Nia tracks, translates, lands each sentence with the value it carried when it left its first mouth. The room's weather changes. Tempers cool into intent. Amara leans toward the mic. Today's purpose, a shared frame. Miss Carter, anchor us. Nia stands. No booth. No glass. She moves to the center table, opens her laptop to the room, and projects Bridge on the wall. No dark UI. No mystery. A pane labeled Y shows the live trace of each sentence. The words, the emotional vector, the cultural caveat, the suggested metaphor. Another pane labeled limits pulses red if the system is unsure. Transparency, Nia says. Receipts. If Bridge isn't confident, it says so. Humans decide. The Italian delegate lifts a brow. And when you're wrong, then we correct it. In public, with the people affected, Nia says, tapping the audit tab. Every decision is logged. Every override leaves a fingerprint. A youth leader whispers to her neighbor, "We've never been invited behind the curtain." "You are the curtain," Nia says gently. Today it stays open. They begin a progressive draft. Binding targets with intergenerational clauses, funding paths that honor transition pain without sacrificing survival, a youth oversight mechanism with real teeth. Each sentence survives 3 languages and a value check before it moves. Momentum. Then, impact. A UN lawyer hurries in, face drawn. He passes Amara a sheet. Amara reads, jaw tight. She flips the mic on. "An emergency notice," she says. A temporary injunction has been filed against the use of Project Bridge in any diplomatic setting. Assignee, Quantum Lattice LLC. Gasps. Then the rustle of power finding its old posture. The moderator, "If Bridge goes dark, we return to manual channels." A delegate, "We'll lose the room." A lobbyist in the gallery smirks like a man who already knows the next 5 moves. Nia doesn't sit. "May I speak to the legal basis?" she asks. Amara nods. Nia projects a second window. A clean ledger of time-stamped training logs, commit hashes, UN invitation letters, last night's ER audit trail with Lena Ortiz's attestation. Prior art. Months of it. Documented, witnessed. Their provisional filing is newer than a life we saved last night. Dr. Aurora Chun steps to a side mic, and a filing is not a patent. Injunctions require harm. The only demonstrable harm today would be forcing this room back into confusion. From the gallery, Victor Lang stands, hands visible, voice even. For the record, my company has no relationship with Quantum Lattice. I'll sign a declaration, and I have emails timed that suggest Lattice scraped Nia's public demos. He holds up a tablet, happy to provide receipts under oath. Eyes swivel to him, then back to Nia. The UN Council confers with Amara. Then the moderator announces, "We will proceed under an emergency humanitarian exemption. Bridge may operate with full visibility, session only. Logs preserved for judicial review." The room exhales, then inhales sharper. A veteran negotiator tests the edge. "Miss Carter, your tool read jobs fear for my ambition." "That's insulting." "No," Nia says, "it's useful. Ambition can mean different things where a factory feeds a town. If the word costs you votes, we need a sentence that buys trust." He studies the projection, grudgingly nods. "Then give me language that my people can carry." "Try this," she says, typing. "Ambition means our children breathe and our workers eat." Bridge pings high alignment across 3 languages. The Bangladeshi youth leader smiles. "I can sell that to my grandfather." The draft thickens with agreements. Each line earns its way across cultures. Every clause that hides a trick is flagged by a red pulse and rewritten in daylight. It starts to look like a future. The door opens again. 3 suits who are not delegates take seats in the back. Their badges read observers. Their eyes read ownership. Aurora murmurs, "Lattice." Amara's gaze hardens. "Let them observe due process." A lull descends, the kind before either breakthrough or sabotage. Nia decides to risk the one thing no translation channel can fake. "We're almost finished," she says, "but there's one piece missing. Record, on camera, a message to your children. Explain this agreement in the language you use at your dinner tables. I'll translate the value, not just the words." A pause. Then the Iraqi delegate nods, speaks to the red light about wells that ran dry and the shame of doing too little. The Swedish activist speaks to her little brother, promising a summer with less smoke. Mandarin carries a father's apology for the years he waited to act. Portuguese carries a vow to fishermen who fear empty nets. Bridge renders the meaning as meaning. The room's spine straightens. The moderator wipes his eyes. Final clause. Nia types. "An intergenerational oversight council shall review compliance, with youth seats holding substantive vote." Bridge blinks consensus possible. And that is when the sabotage chooses spectacle. The main screen flickers. The bridge interface jitters, energy, then noise. A new window overlays Nia's. "Surrender access. Court order. Quantum Lattice LLC." Her keyboard locks. Whispers spike. The observers in the back sit very still. Nia doesn't swear. She pivots. "Manual mode," she says, moving to the whiteboard. "No screen. We finish with mouths and minds." She points to the delegates, like a conductor setting a tempo. "Arabic, speak. English, listen. Mandarin, test the numbers. French, challenge the metaphor. Youth table, hold us to the future." The room obeys. Bodies lean forward. Phones face down. Pen scratch. Nia routes sentences with hand signals and eye contact, her voice a living switchboard. Behind her, Aurora works the laptop at command line like a safecracker, whispering, "They don't have root. They're spoofing the UI." Lena texts quietly, "UN IT tracing IP." Not a court server. Lang taps his tablet, jaw set, subpoena motion filed. Amara watches it all with that still thunder, ready to drop the gavel or the shield. A delegate clears his throat. "Miss Carter, final wording for the target schedule." She speaks it from memory, checks it in Arabic, tests it in Mandarin, lands it in English. It holds. The moderator looks at Amara. "Madam Secretary General?" Amara lifts the pen for the procedural sign-off. The overhead lights snap once. The screens die. Security rushes the gallery. One observer, stands and smiles like a door finally opened. On behalf of Quantum Lattice, he announces, "We are here to seize all materials related to Project Bridge pending court action. Anyone who continues will be listed as a party to infringement." Silence, hot and sharp. Amara doesn't blink. This chamber answers to member states, not private seizures. The man's smile doesn't move. "Then we'll see you in court, and in the press, by sunset." Nia steps forward, small against the flags, unshakable. "You came for a tool," she says, "but what you're trying to stop is understanding. You can't patent that." The man tilts his head. "Watch us." And as security escorts the observers toward the door, the chamber waits, pen hovering, world leaning, while Nia decides whether to sign with her voice alone, publish her logs to burn their claim, or detonate the one card she's saved for last, a public, irrevocable pledge that could free Bridge for the world and cost her everything. Which door she opens in the next 10 seconds will decide who gets to speak for the future. Security moves the observers toward the door. The chamber holds its breath. Pens hover. Cameras blink. Nia Carter steps to the center table, opens her laptop, and does what thieves never expect. She turns on the lights. "Here are the receipts," she says, voice steady. With 3 keystrokes, she projects a public page. Time-stamped commits, model cards, UN invitation letters, last night's ER audit trail signed by Lena Ortiz, and lab notes dating back months. A QR code spreads across the wall. Prior art. Transparent logs. If anyone wants to claim Bridge, they'll have to outrun reality. A murmur ripples. The UN Council scans a tablet, nods to Secretary General Amara Idris. Sufficient to proceed under humanitarian exemption. Seizure request denied. One observer shouts, "You can't." Amara's gavel taps like a thunderclap. "We just did." Dr. Aurora Chun meets the moment. Additionally, she says, "I'm filing for an ex parte TRO against Quantum Lattice LLC for bad faith interference and attempted misappropriation. Declarations attached. Commit hashes, clinical attestations, third-party repo mirrors." From the gallery, Victor Lang speaks into the record. "My company will provide email chains indicating Lattice scraped early demos." Under oath. Silence, then momentum. The chamber turns back to the agreement. Nia removes her hands from the keys. "Manual mode," she says. "Finish by voice." No one owns that. Arabic begins. Fear of empty wells and the shame of delay. Mandarin follows. Lungs and factories. Swedish. Smoke and children summers. Portuguese. Nets and tides. Nia routes the meaning like current through copper, keeping the soul intact. At last. Binding targets aligned to science. Transition funds with protections for workers. Youth oversight with substantive vote. Final text? The moderator asks. Nia dictates it cleanly in 4 languages, then one more, in the quiet grammar of resolve. Amara signs. Delegates sign. Youth leaders sign. Hands shaking, then steady. The room stands. The news breaks like weather. Hashtag Bridge Protocol trends in 30 languages. Clips show Nia blocking a seizure with sunlight, then finishing in accord with nothing but breath and courage. Comment feeds that once wavered tilt hard toward respect. That night, Nia walks into Bellevue with coffee for the night shift. The Japanese daughter hugs her so tightly the cup tilts. "He's improving," the girl says in halting English, then faster in Japanese. "Because you listened." Outside, the black SUV idles again. Same window. Same shadow. "You won't outrun us," the voice says. "We'll own the paperwork, then the press." Nia's answer is soft enough to sting. "On the paperwork. I'll own the proof." The SUV goes away. Aurora texts 2 words, TRO granted. Then a third, depositions. Lang's text follows, statement posted. Wire incoming, your terms. A final ping, Amara. Tomorrow, motion to adopt the Bridge Protocol as UN standard for inclusive negotiations. Weeks compress into a season. The Bridge Protocol rolls from treaty tables to trauma bays. Hospitals pilot it under ethics boards and public audits. Courts use it to prevent linguistic harm. Classrooms use it to make teenagers and teachers actually hear each other. Every deployment ships with the same promise stamped on page 1. No dark data. No invisible edits. People over performance. At Lumiere, staff gather near closing. Manager Evan Cole reads a letter on legal stationery. We regretfully acknowledge wrongful termination. He recites, voice dust dry. Severance. Apology. Policy overhaul. Jenna Park stands beside Nia, chin high. She told the truth on record and kept her job. The kitchen is quieter tonight. Mrs. Beatrice Hale meets Nia for tea the next afternoon, hands warm around the cup. I believe gossip when I should have believed experience, she says. Let me help now. Her grandson, Ethan, orders dessert in beginner Spanish, cheeks red and proud. The table applauds like a small sunrise. Victor Lang gives a talk called The Future I Almost Missed. He doesn't claim discovery. He claims failure and then responsibility. In a corner of the live stream window, someone comments, redemption is a verb. Aurora never lets up. The shell company's corporate veil tears like tissue. Depositions spill. A fake CTO blinks under oath. The court record becomes a guide on how not to steal. When the UN General Assembly meets again, the vote is swift. The bridge protocol becomes the standard for any negotiation where meaning determines lives. Nia, 19, speaks last, not to power, but to the people power for God. Language isn't software, she says. It's a promise. To understand. To be understood. To choose the truth that makes us braver together. The chamber rises. Somewhere out there, a girl with a gift hears her name in the applause and believes a little sooner. Life doesn't soften, it widens. Her mother's chemo regimen upgrades. Remission follows like a held breath released. Ethan receives a robotics scholarship and teaches his school to use open prompts for empathy, not shortcuts. Nia's team becomes an institute. Interpreters, clinicians, youth leaders, ethicists, and engineers sitting at one table. The only way this was ever going to work. One evening, months later, she returns to Lumiere. Same chandeliers, same marble, different gravity. Former coworkers hug and laugh and argue about tips. She pays her bill, then leaves double for the busser who once slid her an extra staff meal on a bad day. On the sidewalk, she looks back through the glass and thinks of all the rooms that don't look like rooms for revolution until someone speaks. She opens her phone and posts the last log from the day the world tried to take her name. Public commit 0. If you ever feel like a footnote, make your receipts a lighthouse. If they try to own your voice, build a bridge big enough for all of ours. She tucks the phone away and keeps walking. Somewhere, a siren flares. Somewhere, a parliament fights. Somewhere, a parent finally hears a child. The work continues, loud, messy, human, and she's exactly the age to carry it. Resolution and life lesson. You don't win by shouting louder in one language. You win by building the space where every language gets honest, and by leaving the lights on so the powerful can't lie in the dark. Where are you tuning in from? And what voice in your world needs a bridge right now? If this story moved you, drop a comment, smash like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next heart-pounding cinematic tale from Black Justice Tales. Here's a quick question for you. If you had Nia's tool for one day, would you fix a negotiation, a hospital intake, a family fight, or something only you can see? The future didn't wait for permission. It waited for someone to listen.